In previous part, Grandma Anna, the wise chairwoman of the Smith family empire, returned after 3 months with a secret mission to find a wife for her grandson, Mr. Smith. Disguising herself as a janitor at the family law firm, she went unnoticed, observing the staff. When some rude employees mocked her, Sarah, a kind-hearted lawyer, defended her, catching Grandma Anna's attention. To test Sarah further, Grandma Anna introduced her grandson Smith, who had secretly joined the firm as an intern. Unbeknownst to anyone, this quiet intern was the heir to the entire company. As Smith and Sarah worked closely, a bond grew between them. Sarah admired his intelligence and kindness, completely unaware of his true identity. Meanwhile, Lucy, a jealous rival, mocked Sarah and tried to outshine her, but Smith defended her. As their respect turned into love, Grandma Anna arranged for their marriage. One day, Sarah accidentally discovered Smith's true identity as the CEO. Now the second part, the real adventure begins. Mr. Smith sat across from Sarah, the soft ticking of the clock the only sound in the room. His face was tense. Sarah sat on the couch, arms crossed, her eyes locked on him, filled with questions, confusion, and a hint of sadness. Sarah said softly, "Tell me the truth. Who are you really?" Mr. Smith didn't speak at first. He leaned forward, rested his elbows on his knees, and exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. Sarah's voice tightened. "And that janitor woman, who is she to you? Why were you both pretending?" He finally looked her in the eyes. "I owe you the truth. All of it." He paused for a moment, then said clearly, "I'm the CEO, the actual owner of the company." Sarah's eyes didn't blink. She didn't move. "And Mama Anna," he continued, "she's not a janitor. She's my grandmother." Sarah let out a shaky breath, almost like she didn't want to believe it, but she knew it made sense now. Every strange moment, every unusual interaction, Mr. Smith spoke again. "Years ago, Mama Anna told me something I never forgot. She said, a woman who respects the lowest will honor the highest. She believed that the right woman wouldn't just treat her well because she looked poor, but because she had a kind heart. No matter who she thought we were." Sarah looked away for a second, biting her lip. "So this was a test?" she asked. "You, both of you were watching me." He nodded. "Yes, watching, but not judging. We just wanted to see who was real. Most people in that office walk past Mama Anna like she doesn't exist. Some even mocked her. But you," he leaned back, his voice calm and certain, "you helped her, talked to her, shared your lunch. You even stood up for her that day Lucy made those rude comments." Sarah's eyes filled with emotion. "I didn't do any of that to pass some test. I just thought she was a sweet old woman." Mr. Smith smiled. "Exactly. You didn't know who she was, or who I was. And you were still kind, still real. That's what made you stand out." Sarah shook her head, processing everything. "If you or your grandmother had just asked me to marry you, without all of this, I still would have said yes." Mr. Smith looked at her deeply. "And that's what she said you'd say. That's why she chose you." He moved closer and took her hands gently. "You're one in a billion. A rare soul. My grandmother. She didn't just want me to find love. She wanted me to find someone who would love me for me. Not my title, not the cars or the company. And in you, she saw that. I see it." Sarah's voice was soft now, almost a whisper. "I feel like I've been living in a dream. All this time I thought I was falling for a humble man with a quiet heart. And now I find out. He's the boss of the entire company." Mr. Smith gave a small laugh. "I wanted to be loved as a man, not a CEO. So what happens now?" she asked, her voice light. "Is Mama Anna going to keep pretending to mop floors?" Mr. Smith chuckled. "She says she's not done acting yet. She loves the role. Says it teaches her more about people than sitting in a mansion ever did." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "She's really good at pretending. I'll give her that." Mr. Smith leaned in and whispered, "Let's play along tomorrow. I want to see how long she keeps the act before she breaks character." They both laughed gently. Sarah looked at him with new eyes. Eyes that saw deeper. Sarah blinked away, the emotion rising in her eyes. "You know, for a second, I thought I was being played. Like maybe I was just part of some game." Mr. Smith shook his head firmly. "You were never a game. You were the reason for it." There was a long pause. Sarah smiled again and said playfully, "So tomorrow, we pretend we don't know she's your grandmother." He grinned. "Exactly. Let's enjoy her performance." They both laughed again. Then Mr. Smith said softly, "No more secrets, Sarah. From now on, it's you and me, and Mama Anna." Sarah leaned into him, her head on his shoulder, "And I wouldn't want it any other way." The next morning, Sarah walked into the office, her steps lighter than usual. Her heart still replayed the night's revelation. Mr. Smith, her humble admirer, was the CEO. And Mama Anna? No ordinary janitor. But today, she chose to play along. As she stepped into the hallway, there she was, Mama Anna, bent over with a mop in her hand, humming a cheerful tune, still in her oversized work uniform. pretending like nothing had happened. Sarah smiled to herself, watching the woman shuffle across the floor with exaggerated effort. She whispered to herself, she really is committed to this acting job. From the glass-walled office upstairs, Mr. Smith stood with a coffee in hand, silently observing the scene unfold, smiling like a man watching his favorite show. Sarah walked closer and called out with a playful voice, "Mama, come with me for a moment. I want to talk to you." Mama Anna straightened slowly, faking the tired groan of an old woman. Talk to me. What does small me know? I'm just a poor old woman cleaning the floor." Sarah chuckled softly and gestured. "Just come. 5 minutes only. I want to know more about you." Mama Anna looked around dramatically, as if she expected the HR manager to appear and scold her. "If my supervisor catch me now, he go say I day gossip inside office. This place no get pity sef." Sarah smiled sweetly, pretending to be clueless. "I'll protect you. Don't worry. My boss likes me. Just 5 minutes. I even made tea." Mama Anna raised one brow suspiciously, then whispered, "Tea? You want to bribe me with tea?" Sarah winked. "Only if you sit down and stop pretending like you're not the most interesting person here." Reluctantly, Mama Anna shuffled into Sarah's office, still holding her mop like a walking stick. She sat on the edge of the chair like a guilty child caught stealing candy. Sarah handed her a warm cup. "So, Mama, this janitor life, how did you get here? What's your story?" Mama Anna gave a heavy sigh. "My dear, life is like ogbono soup. It turns anyhow. One day you're eating with spoon, next day you're licking with hand. Me, I just day survive oh." Sarah leaned in with curiosity. "But you seem too wise to just be cleaning floors. Your words, your eyes, they hold stories." Mama Anna shook her head and muttered dramatically, "NN, you want to make me cry this early morning?" Sarah laughed gently, "But seriously, you always clean this floor like you own the whole company." Mama Anna chuckled, "Because in my heart, I do." Sarah raised a brow, almost caught off guard. Mama, you just exposed yourself." "Oh." Mama Anna blinked. Sarah smiled teasingly. "I mean, your confidence. It's royalty level. If you told me you were a queen, I'd believe you." Mama Anna tilted her head, trying to keep a straight face, but her lips betrayed her. A tiny smirk slipped out. Upstairs, Mr. Smith could hardly contain his laughter. He leaned against the glass, watching the two women enjoy the banter. He finally decided it was time. He stepped into the room casually, hands in his pocket. "Mama," he said gently, "you can drop the act. I told her everything." Mama Anna froze mid-sip. "Eh? You did what?" Sarah turned to Mr. Smith, bursting into laughter. "I tried to keep it going, but she's too good." Mama Anna looked between the two of them, finally letting out a hearty laugh that echoed through the room. You both were playing me." Mr. Smith smiled. "No, we were trying to keep up with you. Your acting deserves an award." Mama Anna stood up dramatically and curtsied. Thank you. I want to thank my village, my mop, and my bucket for supporting my career." They all burst out laughing. Sarah walked over and wrapped her arms around Mama Anna warmly. "You're the sweetest soul I've ever met. I already loved you before I even knew who you were." Mama Anna touched her cheek with affection. "And I already prayed for you before I knew you'd become family." Mr. Smith stepped in and pulled them both into a big, heartfelt hug. No power, no wealth, no CEO title could top the warmth in that room. They were no longer just boss, janitor, and co-worker. They were a family, built on truth, tested by humility, and bound by love. As Sarah, Mr. Smith, and Mama Anna continued their light-hearted moment, laughing and enjoying the warmth of their newfound bond, Lucy stood by the doorway, watching. Her sharp eyes narrowed, and her lips twisted into a tight line as she observed the group, her face betraying the storm of emotions brewing inside her. At first, it seemed innocent, a simple display of affection between colleagues. But to Lucy, it was a slap to her face. She had worked so hard to earn Mr. Smith's attention, but now, here was Sarah, a mere girl, sharing a moment of familiarity with him, as if she belonged in his world. As if she were part of his life. Lucy's eyes flickered with jealousy. She had been in the office for years, had worn the right outfits, said the right things, and played the part. Yet, Sarah, who barely even knew Mr. Smith in the grand scheme of things, had what Lucy could only dream of. Her fingers clenched around the papers in her hand as she watched Sarah laugh, her eyes alight with genuine joy. Lucy's heart began to pound, a mixture of insecurity and frustration twisting inside her chest. Her breath hitched, and she could feel the familiar rush of anger flooding her veins. It wasn't just jealousy anymore. It was a deep, burning resentment, a fire that began to consume her from the inside out. She turned and walked away from the window, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. Each step felt heavier than the last, her mind racing as she fought to keep control. "I need to do something," she thought, her fingers tapping against the edge of her desk. "I can't let this happen. I won't lose everything I've worked for." Not to her. Lucy sat at her desk, her fingers now trembling slightly as they hovered over the keyboard. Her eyes stared blankly at the screen in front of her, but her mind was far from the task at hand. It was consumed with one thing, Sarah. She had to get rid of her. This wasn't supposed to happen, she thinks to herself, a dark plan already forming in her mind. I will make sure she doesn't keep her place beside him. Her eyes narrow as she watches Smith and Sarah interact, her jealousy turning into a dangerous resolve. I'll make them regret this. I'll do whatever it takes to break them apart. Lucy walks away from the crowd, already plotting her next move, her mind focused on bringing Sarah down. She had to make sure Mr. Smith saw Sarah for what she truly was, an outsider, a threat to her perfect world. I've got it, Lucy thought, a cruel smile tugging at her lips. If I make her seem unworthy, if I destroy her reputation, I'll show him. He'll see I'm the one who deserves to be at his side. Her fingers started typing furiously, the seeds of a plot taking root. She'd start small, undermine Sarah's credibility, create doubts. It would all snowball from there. The more she thought about it, the more her anger festered. The idea of Sarah being a part of Mr. Smith's world was unbearable. One day, it was late in the evening when Sarah finally finished up her work at the office. She'd stayed behind, working through some reports, feeling oddly restless. Her mind kept drifting back to her day with Mr. Smith and Mama Anna, their laughter still echoing in her ears. She couldn't shake the feeling that life had taken a sudden, wonderful turn, but little did she know, things were about to spiral into a nightmare. As Sarah exited the building, she didn't notice the shadowy figure watching her from the corner of the parking lot. It was Lucy, eyes burning with jealousy, and shaking slightly with the thrill of her plan coming to fruition. Lucy had been watching Sarah for days, and now, the time had come. Lucy's lips curled into a wicked smile as she pulled her phone out, dialing a number. A deep voice answered on the other end. Yeah? The thug said, I need you to do something for me, Lucy said, her tone low and filled with malice. Get rid of Sarah. Take her to my old house. Keep her there. I'll deal with the rest. The thug agreed without hesitation, and Lucy hung up, feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction wash over her. She turned away from the office entrance, moving silently into the shadows to give the two thugs she'd hired the time to catch up with Sarah. Sarah, unaware of the looming danger, walked, humming a tune. She paused for a moment, reaching into her bag for her keys, only to feel a sharp hand grip her arm from behind. Before she could react, a cloth was pressed to her nose. The world around her spun for a moment, everything fading to black as the sedative took effect. When Sarah finally regained consciousness, her body felt heavy, and her mind was clouded. She tried to move, but realized she was bound to a chair. The faint smell of dust and oldwood filled the air, and her heart skipped a beat as she took in her surroundings. This wasn't the city anymore. She was in an old, abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The walls were peeling, the air thick with neglect. Sarah's breath hitched as panic began to creep in. She tried calling out, but her voice felt weak. Meanwhile, back at the office, Mr. Smith was growing increasingly concerned. He had tried calling Sarah multiple times, but each time, the phone went unanswered. His unease turned into a knot in his stomach as he realized that something wasn't right. Mama, have you heard from Sarah? Mr. Smith asked, his voice strained with worry. Mama Anna, who had been busy tidying up, paused at his question. No, I haven't. She's usually so reliable. Mr. Smith's heart raced. Something in his gut told him this wasn't just a missed call. I need to find her, he said, already reaching for his phone. He dialed her number again, but it went straight to voicemail. His voice grew tight with worry as he left a message. Sarah, if you're there, please call me. I'm getting worried. The night dragged on, and still, there was no word from Sarah. Mr. Smith's worry only deepened. By the time Mama Anna started to sense the gravity of the situation, she had already been pacing back and forth, wringing her hands in distress. Smith, something is terribly wrong. You must call the police. Without hesitation, Mr. Smith called the authorities, filing a missing persons report for Sarah. He described her as a kind, hard-working woman who had no reason to disappear. Yet, as hours passed, the police couldn't find any trace of her. It was as though she had vanished into thin air. The days dragged on, and there was still no word from Sarah. Panic set in. Mr. Smith couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was happening, but there was nothing he could do. Meanwhile, Lucy, ever the schemer, was busy weaving her web of lies at the office. She'd been observing the office for days, watching the growing connection between Mr. Smith and Sarah. The more she saw them together, the more her jealousy turned into hatred. Now that Sarah was out of the picture, Lucy began to spread rumors. She walked around the office, speaking in hushed tones, always careful to make sure she was heard. I heard Sarah did something terrible in the company, Lucy whispered to one of the junior staff. The CEO had to remove her. She's probably been fired by now. Really? The staff member asked, eyes wide with disbelief. Yeah, Lucy continued, her voice oozing with fake concern. She ran away out of shame. Can you imagine? The office staff, already curious about Sarah's sudden disappearance, began to believe Lucy's version of events. They whispered amongst themselves, questioning the kind of person Sarah really was. Had she really done something wrong? Was she hiding something? Lucy watched from afar, her lips curling into a satisfied smile as her plan began to take shape. Sarah was now painted as a troublemaker, and without the knowledge of Mr. Smith's real identity, no one could challenge Lucy's claims. Back in the abandoned house, Sarah struggled against her restraints. Her head throbbed, and she could feel the adrenaline pumping through her veins. She had to escape. She couldn't let Lucy win, but she didn't know how. And as the days passed, the chances of rescue seemed more and more impossible. Somewhere, deep inside, she refused to believe that Mr. Smith would ever stop looking for her. But the situation was growing desperate, and she knew time was running out. Days passed, and with every passing hour, Lucy's grip on the office seemed to tighten. She had strategically positioned herself as the next in line, the one who would naturally step into Sarah's role. With Sarah gone, Lucy made sure she was always seen lingering near Smith's office, always appearing helpful, always smiling just a little too brightly. Lucy had always prided herself on being ambitious, but now her ambition had turned into something far darker. She began acting as if the CEO's proposal was imminent, her heart racing with the belief that she could soon secure a position she had always dreamed of. The staff could see it in her eyes, and they began to whisper amongst themselves. "Is she next?" they would ask. "She's been spending a lot of time with Mr. Smith lately." The staff began to notice Sarah's absence more and more, but with Lucy's sudden dominance, they started to accept her presence as the new normal. Back at Smith's home, things were different. Mama Anna, who had always been the pillar of strength and wisdom, had been feeling unwell for the past few days. The stress of Sarah's disappearance, coupled with the strain of not knowing the truth, had taken its toll on her health. She spent most of her days in bed, her body weak from worry. The deep lines on her face had grown more pronounced, her once bright eyes now clouded with anxiety. Mr. Smith watched as Mama Anna, who had always been his source of guidance, seemed to wither away before his eyes. He'd never seen her so vulnerable, but he knew something had to be done, something more than just the search for Sarah. There was something bigger at play, something far more dangerous than just a simple kidnapping. Mr. Smith kept his emotions buried beneath the surface, not letting anyone see the storm brewing inside him. To the outside world, he remained calm, collected, acting as though everything was just as it should be. But deep inside, he was preparing for the final confrontation. He had spent countless nights going over Sarah's disappearance, replaying every moment in his head, seeking out every possible clue. And the more he thought about it, the clearer it became. Lucy was behind it all. Her ambition had clouded her mind and driven her to take desperate, malicious actions. One night, as the house grew silent, Mr. Smith sat alone in his study. He stared at a picture of Sarah, the only light in the room coming from a single lamp. He ran his fingers over the frame, his heart heavy with the weight of the situation. His voice was barely a whisper, as though speaking the words aloud would make them more real. "I will find you, Sarah," he said, his tone fierce and filled with determination. "And they will pay." His words echoed in the stillness of the night, a promise, a vow, that his enemies would regret crossing him. It wasn't just about love anymore, it was about justice. Mama Anna, lying in her bed, overheard his words. She turned her head, struggling to sit up, her voice barely a whisper. "You must be careful, my son," she cautioned, her voice trembling. "There's more at stake here than just your heart. This will cost you more than you know." But Smith's expression remained resolute. His face hardened, and he nodded, his jaw set. "I know, Mama, but I will not rest until she is safe." Meanwhile, Lucy's sense of victory was only growing. Every day, she watched the office staff take her more seriously, her position becoming more secure. She started calling herself the future of the company, and nobody dared question her. She would often throw in a little extra, "I'm sure Mr. Smith will have some good news for me soon," whenever a colleague asked about Sarah. Her manipulation of the office staff was seamless. She had woven her web so tightly that it was difficult for anyone to see the truth. As each day passed, her lies became more convincing, her grip on her fabricated position more unshakable. But Lucy wasn't prepared for what came next. While she was busy acting as though she had already secured her future, a storm was quietly brewing behind the scenes. Mr. Smith's silence was intentional. He wasn't playing by the same rules. Lucy had underestimated the depth of his resolve. Mama Anna, though ill, had been sharp enough to sense what was coming. Her intuition told her that Mr. Smith's calmness was a facade. He had a plan. And as for Sarah, Lucy had no idea how strong her spirit was. Days turned into weeks, and tension continued to build within the office. Each morning, Lucy's smiles grew wider, her voice louder, and her presence more assertive. But deep down, she knew that everything she had built could come crashing down at any moment. Her lies were already starting to crack, even if she didn't see it yet. She had no idea that her own web of lies was already beginning to entangle her, and Smith, he was closer than ever to uncovering the truth, The stage was set for a showdown, a battle of wits, strategy, and deception. And the question now was, would Lucy's manipulations crumble, or would Mr. Smith and Sarah prove that true love and justice always win in the end? The morning of the big reveal finally arrives, and with it, a palpable sense of anticipation. In the office, there's a hum of excitement as staff members murmur amongst themselves. The rumors have been circulating for days now, whispers about the new CEO, about Sarah's sudden disappearance, and, of course, about Lucy's mysterious rise to power. But what nobody knows is that today, everything will change. Betrayal Smith, the real CEO, is about to step into the spotlight, and he is going to turn the tables on Lucy's carefully spun web of lies. Smith walks through the office, his stride purposeful, his face set with determination. He's dressed in his CEO attire, sharp and commanding, an image of power and authority. The staff look at him, some startled, others confused. They know something big is about to happen, but they have no idea what. The buzz dies down as Smith steps into the boardroom, his eyes scanning the room filled with his staff. They all stand up, a mix of curiosity and nervousness in the air. Every single person is wondering, what is going on? Lucy, standing at the front, smiles in what can only be described as a fake, overzealous manner. She clutches her hands together in front of her, as if to hold her excitement in check. To anyone else, it might look like she's been waiting for this moment her entire life. Her eyes glint with the anticipation of being named the future CEO's wife. Her voice is loud, almost too loud, as she speaks to the room. I am so excited. Finally, the moment has arrived. I knew Mr. Smith would see the light. She casts a glance at the staff, but it's clear she's only playing her part. Her eyes flicker towards Smith, awaiting the final confirmation that will seal her victory. She's almost giddy, knowing this moment is hers to claim. But then, Smith speaks, his voice calm, but with an authority that cuts through the tension in the room. Let me introduce myself. I'm Betrayal Smith, the real CEO of this company. The words hit the room like a thunderclap. Gasps fill the air. The room erupts in shocked whispers. Eyes dart around as everyone tries to process what they've just heard. Smith's declaration is so unexpected, so bold, that it leaves everyone stunned, frozen in place. For a moment, the office feels like it's holding its breath. Lucy's face drains of color, her hands trembling slightly, but she doesn't let go of her fake smile. Her eyes widen in disbelief, as if she doesn't want to believe what she's hearing. The room falls silent, save for the sound of some staff murmuring under their breath, unsure if they've heard correctly. Smith doesn't let up. He stands tall, unwavering, and continues, I'm not just some nameless figure behind the scenes. I've been here all along, just watching. He turns, his gaze sweeping across the room, locking eyes with the staff. And this woman, he gestures toward Mama Anna, who has quietly entered the room, standing by his side, is not your janitor. She's my grandmother, a woman of great wisdom. I've been honoring her in ways you can't even begin to understand. Mama Anna stands with quiet grace, her presence so much larger than her frail form suggests. The staff stare at her, now understanding that she's been playing a much larger role than they ever realized. Her smile is gentle, but there's a certain strength to it that they never saw before. She's not just a janitor, she's a force to be reckoned with. Smith turns back to the staff, his voice steady, calm, but there's a dangerous edge to it now. And Sarah, he says, with emphasis, is not some lowly receptionist. She's my wife. The staff gasps. This is the final blow to Lucy's carefully crafted facade. Sarah, the woman who Lucy had been trying to push out of the picture, wasn't just a simple receptionist. She wasn't someone to be replaced. She was the woman who held Smith's heart. She was the true future of the company. Lucy is frozen in place, her mouth slightly agape, her breath shallow. The shock is written all over her face. The truth is out, and Lucy knows that the lie she had built her entire career on is crumbling around her. The power dynamic in the room has shifted. The staff now see her for what she truly is, a manipulator, a woman who used deceit to rise in the ranks. Smith's words hang in the air like an execution sentence, cutting through the tension. All your lies end today, he declares, his voice firm and unforgiving. The staff look at Lucy, and they begin to understand. The lie she had spun, the rumors she had spread, all of it now seemed so clear. Her ambitious climb had been at the expense of someone she'd never even known, someone who had been right in front of them all along. Lucy's body trembles, her hands now at her sides, clenched into fists. She's not sure what to say, what to do. The ground beneath her seems to shift, as though she's standing on the edge of a cliff, one step away from falling, but Smith doesn't wait for her to respond. He turns to the staff, his gaze hard. I want everyone to know the truth, the real truth. No more games, no more lies. This company will be built on trust and integrity. If any of you have doubts about what I'm saying, you'll be shown the door. He steps forward, his posture unyielding. "And as for you, Lucy, you will leave the building now." The staff watch, some in shock, others already eager to see what happens next. But one thing is certain, the showdown is over. Lucy's time in power is finished. Smith walks out of the room, his hand on Sarah's back as she stands beside him. Mama Anna follows, her presence a quiet testament to the strength of truth. The tension in the air is palpable as Smith stands tall, eyes locked on Lucy. The room is silent, and every staff member seems to hold their breath, waiting for what happens next. The door opens with a sharp sound, and in walk two uniformed police officers. The staff stirs, whispering, wondering what this intrusion means. Smith doesn't flinch. His gaze remains steady as he turns toward Lucy, his voice a calm but piercing command. "Lucy," he says, his tone cold and unyielding. "Where is Sarah?" Lucy stands frozen for a moment, her expression twisting with guilt. Her eyes dart around the room as if looking for an escape, but she knows she's trapped. The weight of Smith's gaze makes her feel small, exposed. The moment feels like an eternity. She crosses her arms defensively, her voice shaky. "I don't know what you're talking about. I've told you already, I haven't seen Sarah," but there's nothing convincing in her voice. Smith knows the truth. Mama Anna, who has been quietly standing to the side, steps forward. She holds up a small recorder, a sly smile playing at the corners of her lips. Mama Anna presses play. A familiar voice, Lucy's voice, fills the room. "Lucy, voice recording, I ruined Sarah's life. She doesn't belong here. I'll make sure of it. She'll be gone, and Obinna will finally see what's been right in front of him all along. It'll be me. I'll make sure of it." The office falls dead silent as the recording ends. It's a confession, the truth about Lucy's jealousy, her malicious plan, and how far she was willing to go to destroy Sarah becomes crystal clear. Lucy's face drains of color, her eyes wide with terror. She stammers, but her words are barely audible. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Smith steps closer, his eyes like a sword. "You've hurt her. You've caused pain. And now you'll answer for it." Lucy's facade crumbles, and her defiance evaporates. She can't look Smith in the eye anymore. Her voice shakes with panic. I just wanted him to leave her and choose me." Her words spill out in a rush, desperate and filled with regret. "I thought if I could just get rid of her, he would see me." The police officers move toward her, and before she can say another word, they grab her by the arms. Her body trembles as the handcuffs click around her wrists. The officers start to lead her away, but Lucy's voice rises in a frantic scream. Please, don't do this. It was just a mistake. I was just trying to." Her voice breaks off into a wail, but it's too late. The officers lead her toward the exit. The office is silent, the air thick with shock and disbelief. Smith watches as she's taken away, the weight of her actions sinking in. The staff stand frozen, unsure of what to say or do. The chaos of the moment has left them speechless. They had no idea that the woman they thought had been standing next to the CEO was hiding such dark secrets. As Lucy disappears from view, Smith's face hardens. He turns to Mama Anna, nodding slightly. The two share a quiet moment of understanding. The battle is won, but the damage Lucy caused can't be undone. Not yet. The night has fallen, but there's no time to rest. Smith, Mama Anna, and the police are speeding toward the location that Lucy had hidden Sarah, an abandoned house on the outskirts of the city. Every minute feels like an eternity. Smith's mind is consumed with one thought: Sarah. As they approach the rundown building, Smith's heart races. He orders the officers to surround the house. They move swiftly, methodical, like a well-rehearsed operation. Mama Anna stands beside Smith, her expression filled with concern, but also determination. She's seen many things in her lifetime, but nothing like this. She knows the truth. Sarah is his heart. The police move through the house cautiously, flashing their lights in the dark, their footsteps quick and light. Smith's breath is shallow, his eyes searching every corner, every shadow. His fists are clenched at his sides, as though his very body is fighting the fear and anger that are welling up inside him. Finally, they reach the room where Sarah is held. The door creaks open, and inside, Sarah is sitting on the floor, her arms wrapped around her knees, her face streaked with tears. She looks exhausted, broken, but when she sees the police and Smith, her face lights up with a spark of hope. The room is silent except for the soft sound of Sarah's voice as she stands shakily, her legs unsteady from being confined for so long. She takes a step towards Smith, her eyes glistening with emotion. "I knew you'd come," Sarah says softly, her voice breaking as she speaks. She's been trapped, but her trust in Smith has never wavered, and now, standing before him, she feels a rush of relief. Smith steps forward and pulls her into a tight embrace. The world feels still for a moment. Sarah's tears soak into his shirt, but he doesn't care. He holds her, never wanting to let go. Mama Anna stands beside them, her arms wide, ready to embrace her too. Mama Anna's voice is soft, but full of love. "We almost lost you, my daughter." She embraces Sarah, wrapping her arms around the girl who, despite everything, has proven herself to be the brave heart Smith had always believed in. Sarah looks up at Smith, tears still in her eyes. "I was so scared. I didn't know if I'd ever see you again." Smith gently wipes away a tear, his voice low but filled with conviction. "You will never be alone again. I promise." As they stand there in the dim light of the abandoned house, the past seems to slip away. The danger, the lies, the betrayal, all of it fades into the background as Sarah finally feels safe in the arms of the one person who has always believed in her. The only thing that matters now is that they're together. The officers begin to secure the house, making sure everything is in order. But for now, none of it matters. Sarah's face softens as she leans into Mama Anna's arms. Her heart finally at peace. She was never truly alone. She had Smith and Mama Anna, and now, nothing else matters. The three of them stand there, united in the warmth of the moment, finally free from the nightmare that had held them captive for so long.